I never thought that building a successful business would lead to the ultimate betrayal from my own family. My name is Scarlett, and I am 34 years old. What started as a dream to create my own marketing company turned into a nightmare when my parents secretly stole from me to fund my sister's luxurious lifestyle. The moment I saw the photo of my burning credit card, I knew nothing would ever be the same again. Let me tell you what really happened and how I finally stood up for myself. Before I get into the full story, drop a comment letting me know where you are watching from. Hit that like and subscribe button if you have ever had to make a difficult choice between family loyalty and self-respect. Would you forgive someone who stole from you just because they are family? Growing up in Portland, Oregon, in a middle-class family, I always felt like the odd one out. My parents, Michael and Jennifer, made it clear from early on that my younger sister Amanda was their favorite. While they showered her with praise, attention, and gifts, I was often left to figure things out on my own. From a young age, I showed an entrepreneurial spirit. When I was 12, I started making handcrafted jewelry to sell at school. By 16, I had created a small lawn care service in our neighborhood. My parents barely acknowledged these efforts, dismissing them as just hobbies. Meanwhile, Amanda could do no wrong in their eyes, even when she abandoned multiple pursuits after initial enthusiasm faded. I can still hear my father saying, "Amanda just needs to find her passion. You are too practical, Scarlett. Not everyone wants to work all the time like you do." When I turned 19, I made the difficult decision to leave home. With only $2,000 saved from various jobs, I moved to Seattle to pursue my dreams. Those early years were incredibly tough. I worked 3 jobs simultaneously just to afford a tiny apartment shared with 2 roommates. During the day, I waited tables, and in the evenings, I worked retail. On weekends, I did administrative work for a small local business. Every spare moment was dedicated to learning marketing strategies and building my own brand. During this time, my family rarely checked in. Birthday calls lasted mere minutes, and holidays became sporadic text messages. When I could not afford to come home for Christmas one year, my mother simply said, "Well, that was your choice to move away." Despite the lack of support, I persevered. I started my marketing business as a one-woman show, working from my kitchen table. I cold called potential clients, built websites from scratch, and created social media strategies for small businesses who could not afford large agencies. The rejections were numerous, but I kept pushing forward. Over the next 10 years, my determination paid off. What began as a solo venture grew into Prism Marketing Solutions, a company with 15 employees and an office in downtown Seattle. Last year, we finally hit the million-dollar revenue mark, reaching $1.2 million. This was no overnight success, but the result of a decade of nonstop work, sleepless nights, and countless sacrifices. Interestingly, as news of my success spread, my family suddenly became very interested in my life again. My phone that had rarely rung with calls from home was now buzzing constantly. First came my mother with casual inquiries about how I was doing. Then my father, who suddenly wanted my business advice for a friend. Finally, Amanda started liking all my social media posts and commenting about how proud she was of her big sis. I was cautiously hopeful about this reconnection. Despite everything, they were still my family, and I had always longed for their approval. When they suggested a family dinner during their visit to Seattle, I eagerly agreed. That dinner, 3 months ago, now stands out as the beginning of the end. We met at an upscale restaurant downtown, one that I could now comfortably afford. My parents marveled at my designer outfit and the fact that I could order an expensive bottle of wine without checking the price. Amanda spent most of the evening scrolling through Instagram, occasionally showing us photos of exotic locations. "I am going to be a travel influencer," she announced. "I just need to build my following by visiting some amazing places." When I asked about her plans to finance these travels, she shrugged. "The universe will provide." At 30 years old, Amanda had bounced between jobs as a yoga instructor, crystal healer, and most recently an aspiring travel photographer, with exactly 243 followers. My father patted her hand. "Your sister can give you some tips on building a following. She knows all about marketing now." My mother nodded enthusiastically. "Scarlett, why not help your sister find her passion? You know how special her spirit is." The conversation gradually shifted to my business. They asked detailed questions about my clients, revenue streams, and future plans. At one point, my father asked about my business finances. "How do you manage cash flow for such a big operation?" he inquired. Proud of my accomplishments and eager to impress them, I explained our financial structure, including the high-limit business credit card I used for major expenses and business travel. "It has a $150,000 limit," I explained. "It helps with cash flow and earns great rewards points for business trips." I noticed Amanda's eyes light up at this information, but thought nothing of it at the time. As we parted that night, my parents hugged me tightly, telling me how proud they were of what I had accomplished, despite being so stubborn. Amanda kissed my cheek and whispered, "Thanks for the inspiration, sis." I drove home feeling a warm glow of family connection, foolishly believing that I had finally earned their respect and admiration. Little did I know that this dinner was not a reconciliation, but a reconnaissance mission, and I had just handed them the blueprint for my own destruction. 3 weeks after our family dinner, I was buried in work preparing for a major pitch to a potential client who could double our business revenue. It was during this hectic time that my business partner Thomas first flagged some unusual charges on our company credit card. "Scarlett, did you authorize a $4,000 charge at a resort in Bali?" he asked, frowning at his laptop screen. I looked up from my presentation slides confused. "Bali, no, that must be a mistake." Thomas turned his screen toward me. "There are several large international charges here from the past few days. A hotel in Singapore, shopping in Bangkok, and now this resort in Bali." My stomach dropped as I grabbed my phone to check the credit card app. Sure enough, there were multiple charges from Southeast Asia, totaling nearly $20,000 in just 1 week. "This has to be identity theft," I said, immediately calling the credit card company. The representative was professional, but not particularly helpful. "These charges do not fit the typical pattern of fraud, Ms. Anderson. There has been consistent usage across several countries with proper authorization codes. No suspicious login attempts were detected on your account." I explained that I had not traveled internationally and had not authorized anyone to use my card. They promised to investigate, but warned me the process could take weeks, and in the meantime, the charges would remain. As I hung up, my phone buzzed with a notification. It was an Instagram alert showing Amanda had tagged me in a post. With shaking hands, I opened the app to find a photo of my sister, lounging by an infinity pool overlooking a stunning Balinese landscape, the same resort that had just charged my card $4,000. Her caption read, "Living my best life, so grateful for new opportunities, #blessed, #luxury travel, #influencer life." I frantically scrolled through her recent posts. There she was at a five-star hotel in Singapore. Another photo showed her shopping bags from designer stores in Bangkok. Every location matched perfectly with the unauthorized charges on my business credit card. My phone rang, displaying my mother's name. I answered immediately. "Mom, is Amanda using my credit card information? There are charges from all the places she is posting from." There was a long pause before my mother spoke in an unnervingly calm voice. "Scarlett, we were going to tell you once Amanda got established. We borrowed your card information to help launch her influencer career. It is a business expense, really, just like your marketing expenses." "Borrowed? You stole my credit card information. How did you even get it?" My voice rose in disbelief. "Well, remember when we visited your office after dinner? Your father noticed your wallet in your desk drawer while you were showing us around. It seemed like the perfect opportunity to help Amanda finally find her path." I could not believe what I was hearing. "This is theft, Mom. You cannot just take someone's credit card without permission." "Do not be so dramatic, Scarlett. We are family. Amanda needs this opportunity, and you have plenty of money now. We always knew you would be successful someday, which is why we focused more on Amanda growing up. She needs extra support, always has." I tried to remain calm. "Mom, you need to tell Amanda to stop using my card immediately and return home." My mother's voice turned cold. "She is finally happy, Scarlett, after all we have done for you. This is how you repay us, by denying your sister her chance at success." What have you done for me exactly? I built this business on my own without any help from any of you. There you go again, always so selfish. Your father and I gave you life, raised you, and this is the thanks we get. Amanda will continue her travels as planned. She needs these experiences for her content. Consider it making up for all the advantages you had. Advantages, I nearly laughed at the absurdity. Tell Amanda to stop using my card now, or I will report it as fraud. You would not dare do that to your own sister. My mother said, her voice dropping to a threatening whisper. If you do, you can forget about being part of this family. The call ended, leaving me stunned and shaking. I immediately tried calling Amanda, but her phone went straight to voicemail. I sent messages that were left unread. With growing horror, I realized this was not a misunderstanding, but a carefully orchestrated plan. As I sat in my office trying to process this betrayal, an email arrived from my mother with the subject line, Amanda's itinerary. The message was brief. Since you are helping fund Amanda's career launch, we thought you should know her travel plans. She will be touring Asia for 3 weeks, then heading to Europe for a month, followed by 2 weeks in the Caribbean before returning. This opportunity will change her life. Someday you will understand that this was for the best. Attached was a spreadsheet with a detailed travel itinerary spanning 3 months in 15 countries with an estimated budget of over $100,000. They had planned this meticulously, counting on my business to fund Amanda's luxury influencer journey around the world. As the reality of the situation sank in, I felt as though the floor had disappeared from beneath me. The family I had longed to reconnect with had only reached out to exploit me. They had not changed at all. They had simply found a new way to prioritize Amanda at my expense. Only now the stakes were much higher than childhood favoritism. They were threatening to destroy everything I had worked so hard to build. Over the next 2 weeks, the charges continued to mount at an alarming rate. Luxury hotels in Tokyo, high-end restaurants in Seoul, shopping sprees in Hong Kong. Each day brought new notifications of thousands of dollars being drained from my business account. Meanwhile, Amanda's Instagram feed became a constant reminder of the theft. She posted photos of herself in designer clothes with captions like "Level up your life" and "Investing in the lifestyle I deserve." Each post was like a slap in the face, watching my hard-earned money being flaunted by someone who had never worked for it. I tried repeatedly to cancel the card, but the bank explained that with ongoing authorized transactions and pending investigations, the cancellation would take time to process. They suggested filing a police report if I believed fraud was involved, but the thought of formally accusing my family of criminal activity still felt like crossing a line I was not ready to cross. Thomas grew increasingly concerned as our company finances began to feel the strain. The business credit card was our main financial instrument for operational expenses, and with so much credit tied up in Amanda's unauthorized spending, we were facing real consequences. Scarlett, we had to delay ordering the new equipment for the Johnson campaign, Thomas informed me one morning. The card was declined when I tried to make the purchase. What about the backup card? I asked desperately. We are already at the limit with all the advance payments for the conference next month. Thomas looked at me with concern. What is going on? These charges in Asia and now Europe, they are killing our cash flow. I finally broke down and told him everything. To his credit, Thomas did not judge me for my family's actions or my reluctance to take legal action. Instead, he helped me come up with a temporary solution, offering to use his personal savings to cover urgent business expenses until we could resolve the situation. That night, I barely slept, my mind racing with anxiety about both my business and my family relationships. Around 3 in the morning, my phone buzzed with a text from Amanda. Thanks for funding my dream life, sis. Just arrived in Paris, and it is divine. The suite has a view of the Eiffel Tower. I immediately called her, and to my surprise, she answered. Amanda, you need to stop using my card immediately. You are putting my entire business at risk. She laughed, the sound carefree and chilling. Oh, please, with all your success, this is just a drop in the bucket for you. Besides, Mom and Dad said it was okay. It is not okay. They stole my card information, and what you are doing is fraud. Wow, dramatic much. Look, I finally found my calling. My followers have tripled since I started this journey. Brands are starting to notice me. This is my big break, and you are trying to ruin it because you cannot stand to see me succeed. Amanda, this is not about your success. This is about theft. You are stealing from me. Her voice turned cold. No, this is about you always thinking you are better than me. The responsible one, the successful one. Well, guess what? Now I am living a life you could only dream of. My posts get more engagement than anything your boring business ever produces. Because you are spending stolen money. And it is not just any money. It is my business funds. I might not be able to pay my employees this month because of you. Not my problem. Maybe you are not as good at business as you thought. She paused, and I could hear the smirk in her voice. By the way, I just ordered room service champagne and charged it to your card. Going to post about it right now. Make sure you like it. The call ended, leaving me shaking with anger and disbelief. How had my sister become so callous? How could my parents support this behavior? The family dynamics had always been unbalanced, but this level of entitlement and disregard was beyond anything I could have imagined. The next morning, I received an email from our biggest client expressing concern about delayed deliverables on their campaign. The specialized software we needed to purchase had been held up due to our credit issues. They were considering taking their business elsewhere if we could not resolve the situation quickly. Panic set in as I realized just how much damage Amanda's spending spree was causing. This was not just about money anymore. It was about the reputation of the business I had built. From nothing, the livelihoods of 15 employees who depended on me and everything I had worked for over the past decade. I called my parents one more time, hoping against hope that they would see reason. My father answered, his voice gruff. "Scarlett, we are not discussing this again." "Dad, please. Amanda has spent over $60,000 already. My business is suffering. I might lose clients. People could lose their jobs." "You are exaggerating. Besides, Amanda is finally finding success. Have you seen how many followers she is gaining? A talent agent even reached out to her yesterday. This investment is paying off." "Investment, Dad, you stole from me. You did not invest anything. I did not consent to this." My father's voice hardened. "We are your parents. We do not need your consent to help your sister. You have always been selfish, Scarlett. Always thinking about yourself. This is your chance to finally do something for your family. By letting you steal from me, by watching my business collapse. If your business is so fragile that it cannot handle this, then maybe you are not as successful as you claim to be," he said dismissively. "Amanda deserves this chance, and we are not going to let you ruin it for her." The conversation went in circles with both my parents, refusing to acknowledge the severity of their actions. When I mentioned potential legal consequences, my mother gasped. "You would send your own sister to jail. What kind of monster have you become? Scarlet money has clearly corrupted you." They were twisting everything, making me the villain for simply wanting to protect what was rightfully mine. By the time the call ended, I felt completely gaslighted, questioning whether I was overreacting, despite the objective evidence of theft. That afternoon, I met with my friend Diane for coffee, desperate for an outside perspective. After listening to the whole story, she looked at me with firm compassion. "Scarlett, this is not normal family behavior. They are not just taking advantage of you, they are committing a crime against you and your business. If they were strangers, you would have already reported this. Why are you holding back?" Her words hit me hard. I had been conditioned my entire life to put Amanda's needs before my own, to accept that my role in the family was to be self-sufficient, while she received all the support. Even now, with my livelihood at stake, I was struggling to break free from that pattern. "What if they are right?" I whispered. "What if I am being selfish?" Diane took my hands firmly in hers. "Wanting to keep what you earned is not selfish. Stealing from your daughter to give to another daughter that is wrong on every level. Scarlett, you need to protect yourself, your business, and your employees. No one else will do it for you." As we parted, I felt a small seed of resolve beginning to grow. Maybe it was time to stop seeking my family's approval and start standing up for myself, no matter how painful the consequences might be. Just when I thought the situation could not get any worse, I received an email from Amanda while sitting at my desk one Tuesday afternoon. The subject line simply read, "Souvenir from my travels." With a sense of dread, I opened it to find a photo attached. The image showed my business credit card engulfed in flames being held over what appeared to be a beach bonfire. I could make out enough of the card numbers to confirm it was indeed mine, the plastic curling and melting in the heat. The caption beneath the photo read, "Your account is empty now, so I set it on fire. I had so much fun with your card. Thanks for funding my best life." I stared at the screen in complete shock, my hands trembling so badly I could barely maintain my grip on the mouse. This was not just theft anymore. This was deliberate cruelty, a celebration of the harm she had caused me. The casual malice of the gesture broke something inside me, shattering any remaining loyalty I felt toward my sister. I printed the email with the photo and walked woodenly to Thomas's office, placing it on his desk without a word. He looked at it, then up at me, his expression changing from confusion to horror to rage. "Scarlett, this is beyond dysfunctional family dynamics. This is psychopathic behavior." He stood up and came around his desk to face me directly. "You have to report this now, not just for the business, but for yourself." I nodded, feeling strangely calm as a strange clarity washed over me. "I know." Thomas helped me contact the credit card company again, this time explicitly stating that I wanted to report fraud and providing the email as evidence. The representative's tone changed immediately when I mentioned the burning card photo. "Ms. Anderson, this is clear evidence of credit card fraud and destruction of bank property. We will escalate this case immediately and freeze the account to prevent any further charges." Next came the hardest step, filing a police report. Thomas offered to come with me for support, and we drove to the Seattle Police Department together. As we waited in the Stark Police Station lobby, I felt alternating waves of determination and doubt. "Are you sure you want to do this?" Thomas asked gently. "Once you file a formal report, there is no going back." I took a deep breath, thinking about the burning card, the dismissive words from my parents, the jobs at stake, and most importantly, my own self-worth. "I am sure." They left me no choice. The officer who took my statement was professional and matter-of-fact, taking copies of the email screenshots of the charges and the photo of the burning card. When I explained that the perpetrators were my own family members, he did not seem surprised. "Unfortunately, we see a lot of family fraud cases. People think family ties will protect them from consequences, but the law does not make exceptions for relatives." As he typed my statement, he asked a question that caught me off guard. "What do you think motivated them to do this? Was there a history of financial disputes?" The question made me reflect on the decades of family dynamics that had led to this moment. "My parents always favored my sister," I explained. "They gave her everything and expected me to fend for myself. When I became successful on my own, I think they felt entitled to that success in a way like it belonged to the family rather than to me personally. They saw my business as a family resource rather than the result of my individual work and sacrifice." The officer nodded. "Family dynamics can be complicated, but theft is still theft. With this evidence, especially the photo of the destroyed card, we have enough to move forward with charges." Walking out of the police station, I felt both lighter and heavier simultaneously. I had crossed a line that could permanently alter my family relationships, but I had also finally stood up for myself after a lifetime of acquiescing to their demands. Back at my office, I met with a financial advisor to assess the damage. The final tally was staggering: $120,000 in unauthorized charges across 12 countries in just under a month. The impact on my business was already evident, with delayed projects concerned clients and a cash flow crisis that would require immediate attention. "We will need to secure a temporary business loan to cover operational costs while the fraud investigation is ongoing," the advisor explained. "The good news is that with such clear evidence of fraud, the credit card company will likely reverse the charges, but it could take 30 to 60 days for the funds to be restored." That evening, as expected, my phone exploded with messages from my parents. They had been contacted by the police about the fraud report and were beside themselves with rage and disbelief. "How could you do this to your own sister?" my mother's voicemail demanded. "The police showed up asking questions. Do you have any idea how embarrassing this is? If you do not withdraw these ridiculous charges immediately, you are no longer our daughter." My father's message was even more threatening. "You have made the biggest mistake of your life, Scarlett. No one will want to do business with you when they find out you would send your own sister to jail over a few expenses. We raised you better than this." Their messages continued throughout the night. alternating between threats, guilt trips, and occasional pleas for understanding. The extended family soon joined in with aunts, uncles, and cousins, calling to express their disappointment in me for tearing the family apart over money. Only my grandmother, my father's mother, offered a different perspective. "Scarlett," her wavering voice said in a voicemail, "I heard what happened. I want you to know that I think you did the right thing. Michael and Jennifer have always let Amanda get away with everything, and it has not done her any favors. Stand your ground, sweetheart. Sometimes love means setting boundaries." Her support, the lone voice of reason in the family chaos, brought tears to my eyes. That night, I received anonymous messages from blocked numbers, clearly from family members, with threats ranging from public humiliation to vague warnings about regretting this decision. I forwarded them all to the police officer handling my case, who advised me to document everything but not engage. Despite the emotional turmoil, I found myself sleeping better than I had in weeks. The weight of indecision had been lifted, replaced by the cleaner pain of having made a difficult but necessary choice. For the first time in my life, I had chosen myself over my family's demands. And while it hurt, there was also a profound sense of liberation in finally breaking free from their manipulative grip. With the fraud report filed and the investigation underway, I turned my attention to salvaging my business from the financial damage. Thomas proved to be not just a business partner, but a true friend working tirelessly alongside me to reassure clients, negotiate with vendors, and restructure our immediate financial plans. We secured a short-term business loan to cover operational costs, and I even put some of my personal savings into the company to make sure we could meet payroll. I was transparent with our team about the situation, not sharing all the family details, but explaining that we had experienced fraud and were working to recover. Their response was overwhelmingly supportive. Several employees even offered to defer part of their salaries until the situation improved, though I assured them that would not be necessary. Their loyalty reminded me that I had built not just a business, but a community of people who valued their workplace and their leader. Meanwhile, the legal process moved forward. The credit card company's fraud department officially accepted my case after reviewing the evidence, particularly the photo of the burning card, which they considered an unambiguous admission of fraudulent intent. They began the process of reversing the charges, though they warned it could take up to 2 billing cycles for the funds to be fully restored. The police investigation progressed as well. Because the fraud had occurred across international borders, additional agencies became involved. I received a call from a detective explaining that they had issued an alert that would flag Amanda's passport upon her attempted return to the United States. Based on her travel itinerary and social media posts, we anticipate she will be returning through Seattle International Airport on June 15th, the detective explained. We will have officers ready to intercept her upon arrival. The reality of what would happen when Amanda returned hit me hard. My sister would likely be arrested at the airport, possibly in front of other travelers. While a part of me felt she deserved consequences for her actions, another part still struggled with the gravity of what I had set in motion. My parents continued their campaign of emotional warfare, switching tactics from anger to desperate pleas as the legal seriousness of the situation became clear to them. My mother called sobbing one evening, her voice barely comprehensible. "Please, Scarlett, withdraw the charges. We will find a way to pay you back. Amanda does not deserve to have her life ruined over this mistake." Mom, she stole $120,000, flaunted it on social media, and then sent me a photo of my credit card on fire. That is not a mistake. That is a deliberate crime with photographic evidence that she herself provided. She is just immature. She did not understand what she was doing. She is 30 years old, Mom, not 16. She knew exactly what she was doing and thought there would be no consequences because there never have been for her before. My father's approach was more direct. He showed up at my office unannounced one afternoon, barging past the receptionist before I could be warned. When he entered my office, I was shocked by his appearance. Always meticulously groomed, he now looked disheveled with several days of stubble and rumpled clothes. "We need to talk about this witch hunt you have initiated against your sister," he began without preamble. I gestured for him to sit, maintaining a calm I did not entirely feel. "Dad, I am working. If you want to talk, we can schedule a time. Schedule a time while your sister is about to be arrested. This is happening now, Scarlett. He paced in front of my desk. Do you have any idea what this will do to her, to our family's reputation, to your mother's health? I raised an eyebrow at the last point. Mom's health. She has been in bed for days, her blood pressure through the roof because of the stress you have caused. The doctor had to prescribe medication. His voice rose with each word. Later, I would learn from my grandmother that this was a complete fabrication, a manipulation tactic my mother had used many times before. But in the moment, it still triggered my ingrained guilt and sense of responsibility. I am sorry Mom is not feeling well, but I did not cause this situation. You, Mom, and Amanda did when you stole from me. It was a loan. We were going to pay you back once Amanda's influencer career took off. A loan requires permission from the lender, Dad. What you did was theft, plain and simple. He leaned over my desk, his face flushed with anger. Listen to me very carefully. If you do not drop these charges immediately, you will never be welcome in our home again. No holidays, no family events, nothing. You will be dead to us. The threat that would have devastated me just months ago now only reinforced my resolve. If your love is conditional on letting Amanda steal from me without consequences, then maybe it is not love at all. He straightened, shocked by my response. For a moment, I saw something like respect flicker in his eyes before it was replaced by cold fury. You have made your choice then, he said quietly. Do not come crying to us when you regret it. After he left, I sat at my desk, hands shaking but mind clear. The threats and emotional manipulation that had controlled me for years were losing their power. Each confrontation strengthened my determination to see this through, to finally establish that I would not be the family doormat any longer. As June 15th approached, I received notification from both the police and the bank that significant progress had been made in my case. The credit card company had reversed all of the fraudulent charges, restoring the full $120,000 to my account. The business was gradually stabilizing, with clients reassured and projects back on track. The detective handling the case called to confirm the details for Amanda's return. We have verified that she is booked on Turkish Airlines Flight 203, arriving at Seattle International at 2:15 p.m. on the 15th. We will have officers positioned at customs to intercept her as she clears immigration. He paused before adding, You have the option to be present if you wish to make an additional statement at the time of arrest, or to provide any last-minute evidence. Some victims find it provides closure. After considering the offer, I decided I needed to be there. Not out of vengeance, but to finally close this chapter face to face. I needed Amanda to see me standing up for myself, to understand that her actions had real consequences, and to know that I was no longer the pushover sister she could exploit. As the day approached, a strange calm settled over me. The business was recovering, my support network of friends and colleagues had proven stronger than I ever imagined, and I was finally breaking free of toxic family patterns that had constrained me for decades. Whatever happened at the airport would be difficult, but it would also be the beginning of a new chapter 1, where I defined my worth rather than accepting the diminished value my family had always assigned to me. June 15th arrived with clear skies and unusually warm temperatures for Seattle. I dressed carefully in a professional navy blue suit, wanting to project confidence and composure for what would undoubtedly be a difficult confrontation. Thomas had offered to accompany me, but this was something I needed to do alone. I arrived at Seattle International Airport 2 hours before Amanda's scheduled landing, my stomach tight with anxiety despite my determination. After identifying myself to the police officers stationed near the international arrivals area, I was briefed on what would happen. We will allow her to clear customs and enter the main terminal, the officer explained. Once she is in public space, we will approach and make the arrest as discreetly as possible. We understand this is a family situation, so we will try to minimize any scene. I nodded gratefully, taking a seat in the waiting area with a clear view of the arrivals gate. As the minutes ticked by, I found myself remembering fragments of my childhood with Amanda. Despite the favoritism and unfairness, there had been good moments, too. Moments of sisterly connection before competition and resentment took over. A wave of sadness washed over me for what our relationship could have been under different circumstances. The arrival board updated to show that Flight 203 had landed. Passengers began trickling through the arrivals gate, tired but happy faces, greeting waiting friends and family. I sat up straighter, my heart pounding as I scanned each emerging traveler. Finally, I spotted her. Amanda strode through the gate with the confidence of someone who had never faced consequences for her actions. She looked tanned and radiant, dressed in designer clothes that my money had undoubtedly purchased. Behind her, an airport porter struggled with a cart piled high with expensive luggage, far more than she had left with. For a moment, she did not notice me, her eyes searching the crowd, presumably for our parents. When her gaze finally landed on me, she froze mid-step, her expression shifting from shock to anger to a flicker of fear before settling into defensive defiance. She changed direction, walking directly toward me with her chin raised. "What are you doing here? Come to apologize for overreacting." Before I could respond, two plainclothes officers approached from either side. "Amanda Anderson?" one of them asked. She nodded, confusion crossing her face. "I am Detective Roberts with the Seattle Police Department. You are under arrest for credit card fraud, theft of over $100,000 and destruction of bank property. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law." As the officer continued reading her rights, Amanda's face drained of color. Her eyes locked on mine in disbelief, as though she still could not comprehend that her actions had actual consequences. "You really did it," she whispered as the officers began to handcuff her. "You actually reported me." I stood my ground, meeting her gaze steadily. "You stole from me, Amanda. You nearly destroyed my business. And then you sent me a photo of my credit card burning. What did you think would happen?" "But we are family," she protested, her voice rising as the reality of her situation began to sink in. "You cannot do this to me. Being family does not give you the right to steal from me," I replied calmly. "I worked too hard for everything you took so casually." The commotion attracted attention from nearby travelers, and I noticed people beginning to record the scene on their phones. Just as the officers were preparing to escort Amanda away, my parents burst through the arrival area doors, clearly having been waiting elsewhere in the airport. My mother screamed when she saw Amanda in handcuffs. "What are you doing to my daughter? Let her go!" My father rushed toward the officers, but was quickly intercepted by airport security, who had been alerted to the potential situation. "This is outrageous. She has done nothing wrong." The detective maintained his professional demeanor despite the escalating scene. "Sir, ma'am, your daughter is being arrested for credit card fraud in excess of $100,000. We have substantial evidence, including her own documented admission." "Scarlett, how could you—" My mother turned to me, her face contorted with rage and anguish. "Your own sister, your own blood." I remained composed, though my heart was racing. "This was her choice, Mom, and yours and Dad's. You all chose to steal from me, to violate my trust, and to dismiss my feelings when I confronted you. These are the consequences of those choices." As Amanda was led away, she finally broke down, the reality of her situation crashing down on her. Through tears, she called back to me, "I am sorry, okay? I will pay you back. Please do not do this." It was the first time I had ever heard Amanda apologize for anything, but it was too late for simple words to undo the damage. My parents followed the officers, my mother sobbing hysterically, and my father demanding to know where they were taking her and threatening lawsuits against everyone involved. I stood alone in the terminal, watching as my family disappeared from view. An odd sense of peace settled over me despite the public drama that had just unfolded. I had done what was necessary, not what was easy. For perhaps the first time in my life, I had valued myself enough to demand respect and accountability from those who had always taken me for granted. The legal proceedings that followed were difficult, but straightforward given the overwhelming evidence. Amanda's social media post documenting her spending spree, the email with the burning credit card, and the bank records created an airtight case. Faced with the prospect of significant jail time, Amanda accepted a plea deal, 2 years of probation, mandatory financial counseling, 400 hours of community service, and a restitution plan to eventually repay the money she had spent. My parents refused to speak to me throughout the entire process. They attended every one of Amanda's court appearances, sitting stoically in support of her, while casting accusing glares in my direction. They hired an expensive attorney for her and paid for her apartment when she returned from her travels with nowhere to live. Their loyalty to her remained unshaken, even as the evidence of her wrongdoing was laid bare in legal documents and court testimony. 6 months after that day at the airport, my business had fully recovered from the financial blow. The returned funds had allowed us to expand our services and even hire 3 new employees. Our client list had grown, and we had just signed our biggest contract yet with a major tech company. I had used the experience to implement stronger financial security measures for the company and had become much more careful about sharing personal information, even with family. The irony was not lost on me that the people I should have been able to trust the most had proven to be the biggest threat to my security. My relationship with my family remained complicated. My parents maintained their position that I had betrayed the family by involving law enforcement, while I stood firm that they had betrayed me first by stealing from me. We had not spoken directly since the airport incident, though I occasionally received updates about them through my grandmother, the only family member who had supported my decision to hold Amanda accountable. Amanda herself had undergone something of a transformation, though whether it was genuine or self-serving was difficult to determine. 3 months into her probation, she had sent me a letter, a carefully worded apology that acknowledged the harm she had caused. She was working at a local coffee shop, her first steady job in years, and attending mandatory financial responsibility classes as part of her plea agreement. "I never understood how hard you worked for your success," she wrote. "I always thought you were just lucky or that things came easily to you because you were smarter. I never saw the sacrifices and effort behind it all. I am not asking for forgiveness, just for you to know that I finally understand what I took from you." I had not responded immediately, needing time to process my feelings about her apparent revelation. After 2 weeks of consideration, I sent a brief reply acknowledging her apology and expressing hope for her continued growth, but making no promises about our future relationship. Baby steps seemed the only wise approach after such a fundamental breach of trust. As for me, the experience had changed me in profound ways. I had always defined myself in relation to my family, seeking approval I never received, and accepting a subordinate role in the family hierarchy. Breaking free from those patterns had allowed me to see myself more clearly, to value my own needs and boundaries in all relationships, not just family ones. I had begun working with a therapist to address the deep-seated patterns of people-pleasing and conflict avoidance that had made me vulnerable to exploitation. I was learning that standing up for myself was not selfish, but necessary, that healthy relationships required mutual respect rather than one-sided sacrifice. My support network had expanded beyond Thomas to include new friends who valued me for who I was, not what I could provide for them. I had even started dating again after years of focusing exclusively on building my business, finding joy in connections based on equality and genuine affection, rather than obligation or utility. The most surprising outcome of this painful experience was the discovery of my own resilience. I had faced one of my greatest fears, family rejection, and survived. Not only survived, but thrived, building a life that felt authentically mine, rather than a response to others' expectations. On the 1-year anniversary of filing the police report, I received an unexpected text from Amanda. "I finished my financial responsibility course today. The instructor said I should acknowledge important milestones in my recovery process. I know today is probably a difficult anniversary for both of us. I want you to know I am still sorry, and I am working to be better." No response needed. I sat with the message for a long time, feeling neither the burning anger that had once consumed me, nor the automatic forgiveness my family had always expected me to offer Amanda. Instead, I felt something more nuanced, a cautious hope that perhaps someday we might build a new relationship based on mutual respect, rather than the dysfunctional patterns of our past. That evening, I sat on my balcony overlooking the Seattle skyline, reflecting on the journey of the past year. The betrayal had been devastating, but it had also been clarifying, stripping away illusions, and forcing me to confront painful truths about my family and myself. I had learned that sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself and others is to establish firm boundaries and enforce real consequences. I had discovered that my worth was not determined by my family's assessment, but by my own standards and values. And perhaps most importantly, I had found that even when the worst happens, even when those who should love you the most betray you completely, it is possible to rebuild, to heal, and to create a life filled with authentic connections and genuine joy. The family I was born into had failed me, but the family I had chosen, friends and colleagues who stood by me through the darkest times, had proven that I was worthy of loyalty and love. That knowledge was worth more than any amount of money could ever be. Has someone in your family ever betrayed your trust? How did you handle it? I would love to hear your stories in the comments below. If my journey resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe to my channel for more real-life experiences. And remember, sometimes standing up for yourself means standing alone for a while, but that does not mean you will always be alone. Thank you for listening to my story, and I hope it helps anyone going through something similar to find their own strength and path forward.